Thank you very much. Thank you for the nice introduction. I don't sing, just for dance. And thank you very much. Thank you. I want to thank Professor Iwasaki for inviting me and all the organizers for organizing this beautiful conference. I'm fully enjoying it, except for my talk. I'll go directly into my uh, talk because whereas last speaker, I have to uh, um, as soon as possible. Okay. How to do this? Okay. This is the content of the talk. We're going to talk two things. One is the revitalizing endangered language in a community. How to do this? Okay. Endangered language and community, and the other is revitalizing an endangered language in an individual. Um, uh, as a community, we're talking about Nishara Subvariety of Ikema. Just seen the dictionary. A variety of Miyakoan language belonging to southern Ryukyuan, and which is extremely endangered. And this is the target language of the Ikema project revitalization attempt. We're doing this together with Professor Iwasaki and other members. And the other one is Tamano, a variety of Okayama, which is my native dialect. Descriptions of this dialect is quite limited, and it's only sporadically described as one of the subdialects of Okayama Japanese. So this presentation represents my personal attempt to revitalize and reactivate it as my mother tongue, which I've lost for some time. Let me talk a little bit about the level of endangerment for languages spoken in Japan. This is the UNESCO Index of Language Endangerment. And as UNESCO's evaluation of the level of endangerment for languages spoken in Japan is like standard Japanese is safe, and other Ryukyuan language and Hachijo are definitely endangered, and some of them, Yonaguni and Yayama, are severely endangered. Depends upon the dialect of each of these languages, but generally they are all endangered, very, very severely. And Ainu is critically endangered, or some people think that it is already dead. I think Japanese language cannot be considered to be safe. Probably only Tokyo and Kansai variety of Japanese is considered safe, still safe. Other varieties of Japanese are between 2 to 4, depending on various factors, on the number of speakers, the existence of the standardization of one of the prestige dialects or prestige languages. And probably Okayama or Tamano dialect are like between 2 to 3. And here's the 8 endangered languages spoken in Japan. And 2 through 8 are Japonic. 3 to 8 are Ryukyuan, and 2 Hachijo Japonic, and Ainu belongs to a different category. And all the others are mainland Japanese, considered to be safe, which is, I think, debatable. So I'm going to talk about Ikema. the target of our revitalization attempt. And I'll give an overview of the language and the community. Ikema is a subdialect of Miyako Ryukyuan, one of the 6 major languages of Ryukyuan. And Ryukyuan, as you have heard from Masa and Okayama-san's talk, is the only language family that has been proven to be directly related to Japanese. All of the languages of Ryukyuan and the local varieties are highly endangered. And Ikema belongs to Miyakoan, one of the 6 languages of Ryukyu. It is spoken in Ikema Island, Tarahama in Arab Island, and Ishara in Miyako Island. They all migrated from Ikema Island, Tarahama to 500 years ago, and Ishara 150 years ago. Okay. They are unusually intelligible, these 3 subvarieties of Ikema can be considered to be just one. Have a very unique phonological system. They only have 4 short vowels, one of which is distributionally very restricted, and long vowels is more or less the same with the corresponding short vowels. And they also have distributionally restricted long vowels O and A, which are used only in sentence final particles, like assertive particle do, and answer particles like O and eti. Okay. So those are the only words that contain these O and A vowels. And these are the consonants, and it's unique in that it has word initial geminates like ta, ka, cha, sa, sa, like Korean. Okay, and like Japanese, it has word internal geminates, and it has consonant clusters like mm, 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 okay. So there's a combination of 2 syllabic consonants. Yeah. Like that's one word. Okay. And also which is sweet potato, and means where, and there are other meanings. And it has rich morphophonemic alternations. For example, topic form have 4 allomorphs, or no, 4, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 6 allomorphs. Okay, those are the varieties. Allomorphs. Fa, it is nouns after a is a, and u is u. E becomes ya, and after vowels or long vowels and diphthongs, it's ya, and after nouns ending in a consonant, it's geminate. Okay, and after nouns ending in cuts, the geminate end. So 6 allomorphs, and it's the same as accusative forms. They have 6 allomorphs. I mean 5 malomorphs too. All conditionally determined. And so, and there are also lexical variations from standard Japanese. Almost no mutual intelligibility with standard Japanese or with other European languages. About the Ikema project, it started It started in January 2006. Does descript an archiving of Ikema, especially Subvariety spoken in China. And also, we also did various sub-projects like social linguistic research, frame of reference experiments. It has absolute frame of reference and mutual intelligibility study. And those are the current core members. There are three of us, me, Shoichi, and Tsuyoshi Ono. And with ad hoc members of the with ad hoc members more than 30 researchers. And here's Mr. Hiroyuki Nakama. And there are others, of course. And we are doing this with close cooperation with community members. Those are the Ikema self-introduction. My name is Nakama, which means company, and I quote company, although I'm alone. I'm very happy to meet you. That's the Japanese. The English translation of this Ikema language. And if you're Japanese, you will know that you don't understand most of them. Here's as for the description part, we had grammar sketch, mini sketch, and PhD thesis, and morphophonemic study by me, and the phonological studies, discovery of the three-tone system of Ikema by Yosuke Igarashi et al. And there are also experimental phonetic studies like on word initial Japanese, and also compiled a dictionary with 6,000 entries. And we also did documentation and archiving, and also have a digital museum project for the documentation of the Ryukyuan. And as for the recording of the conversation materials, we have 2 terabytes size materials, recordings, at about 1,050 files, WAV files, and MP4, MTS video files. And the number of IDs for each event is 124 as of now. And total recording time is about 610 hours. The total number of recording indefinite media about 1,000 hours or more. We don't have the exact count. And also we have ethnographic notes and metadata, diary, fieldwork diary, and speech event sheets, speaker data sheets, and Zoom event data. And this is the diary, and this is the event sheet. This is the metadata, and this is the media metadata. Yeah. Okay. Project, and it's quite impressive. As for Tamano, my native dialect, it's spoken in the southernmost part of Okayama Prefecture, Japan, and it is my mother tongue. It belongs to Chugoku Japanese variety, and probably the level of endangerment is between 2 and 3. It's not used at school. No schooling. Schooling is done mostly in standard Japanese nowadays. And my personal level of endangerment is between 3 and 4. I don't use it very much. I don't use it at home. That's dangerous part of it because my parents are not from this area. And my brothers stopped using the language a long time ago. So I don't speak the language at home, and I don't speak it with my wife either because she's from Osaka. Okay. And this is the map of dialects in Japan, and it's Okayama is here, one of the Chugoku dialects. So Okayama is shaped like that. It's not long, right? It's sort of a kind of square, and Tamano is here, southernmost part of it. It has the Okayama dialect in general has the this characteristics, but also is rich in morphological alternations, and there's this monophthongization of diphthongs into single vowels, and that lengthen probably most of the time. So boku, which means I, and topic marker becomes boka, and kore, this with topic marker becomes korea, and accusative koryo, and sake, soko, there, plus locative marker soke, and akai becomes ake, and shiroi becomes shire, hoshi becomes hoshi. Okay, so there's some grammatical characteristics. There's this existence has the David focused agreement, which is quite unique as compared with other dialects of Japan. So David's question must end in conditional form, which is used as the sentence ending form. Conditionals used as a sentence ending form. So the example is like omedoke ikyo nara, ikyotan nara. Okay, nara is the conditional form, which is used as one of the sentence endings. It is not conditional anymore. So it has to have toke to where, which is a WH form. Right? So without this WH form, the sentence is out. So you are going somewhere. Yes, are you going anywhere yesterday? Were you going anywhere yesterday? That's non-WH question. That's out with this conditional ending. And what is this? Put in another. Nara conditional form. None is what? This is okay, but if none is not existent, then it's out. So it has the conditional form used as a sentence ending, has WH forms. This is a very unique characteristics of Okayama dialect, not shared by other areas. The accent system is the same as Tokyo Japanese. Vowel conjugation shares characteristics of Western Japanese, like Osaka. And sentence final forms, it has Chugoku district Japanese form like no and ja or jaro, which is quite characteristic of Okayama and Hiroshima dialects. And the aspectual form, like other Chugoku district Japanese, distinguishes between continuative and perfective. So in Tokyo Japanese, shindeiru means is dead, not he's dying. Okay. And yondeiru, reading, is only has progressive meaning. And Japanese can distinguish, Okayama Japanese can distinguish between these two. So shinyoru is dying, like in English is dying, and shindoru is dead. So you can distinguish between is dead or is dying, unlike Tokyo Japanese or Standard Japanese. Okay, and preservation and revitalization attempt. There's a very powerful. This is Ikema. As for Ikema, there is a very powerful senior members club in the meeting monthly. And there are also subgroups, a chorus group and a dance group meeting directly. So we're talking about Ikema, not, let's forget about Tamano for a while. And Ikema is spoken and quite a lot there in the senior club. So, but the transmission of Ikema to the next generation seems to have ceased a long time before. Young parents say that they are no longer using Ikema at home and have stopped transmitting the mother tongue to the children. So Ikema is definitely endangered. It's believed that active speakers are in their 60s or older. No if preservation and revitalization are possible. Uh, Something about this. Yeah. Something is blocking the screen, so I can't read it. Maybe I have to read this one. So in order to know if preservation and revitalization are possible at all, we have to know the degree of endangerment of Ikema. That's our next step. So we used a mutual intelligibility test as a tool for measuring language endangerment. Mutual intelligibility test is created by William O'Grady and his team for measuring the mutual intelligibility between Jeju, Seoul, Busan dialects of Korean. And this is the 2014 paper. It also had 2018 paper, but we have not referred to that. The subject listened to a short story and answered 10 questions. And percentage of correct responses to comprehension questions. Can you see? Understands almost 90%, and other Korean speakers don't have only understands about 12 to 5%. It's more or less the same in 1980 paper with some other dialects. So based on that, they say that Jeju is not intelligible to other that speakers of the other dialects. We have our design of a mutual intelligibility test is a little more defined, like refined than William's teams. The participants listen to two stories instead of one and answer 20 questions instead of 10 for each story. The story must be culturally neutral, so the content cannot easily be guessed from the context, which is the same as William. And this is an example of one of the sentences used. This is Pingu, and this one is Ikema, and this one is Okinawa Yarabu. And if you compare these two varieties, they're completely different. Right? So they're not mutually intelligible. This is the standard Japanese version, and this is the Okayama version. Probably they're mutually intelligible. But for those speakers, these two are not intelligible. This is from, but I'll skip that. And this result showed the test conducted in Okinawa Erabu. Okinawa Erabu people listening to Okinawa Erabu language, they understand 91%. But if they listen to the Ikema dialect, Southern Ryukyuan language, they only understand 4.1% of the story. So one answer among 20 questions. So we can say that they are not mutually intelligible. And the same as Ikema listening to Okinawa, the rate is a little bit higher. We don't know why, but that's it. So this is the mutual intelligibility index. And so that the two varieties of Okinawa came out not mutually intelligible, and it came out to Okinawa almost no mutual intelligibility. And this intergenerational transmission test can be this mutual intelligibility test may be used to measure the rate of intergenerational transmission, the scope of mutual intelligibility test serve as an objective criterion for the degree of engagement. And people much younger than we found to our surprise that people much younger than there are more potential speakers. And this is the overlaps what Yokoyama-san spoke about. Speakers who have potential of understanding the language, not actually speaking it, the passive knowledge speakers. So we've found that there are, some people younger, much may be able to understand the language. It's possible that they don't actively speak the language, but they have passive knowledge. So in my test, I may be able to detect those potential speakers, and those are the rate 57 to 36. They understand almost 90%, and the same in Ikema. Okay, so there is hope that we'll be able to activate the knowledge of potential speakers by a large input of language materials. And so we did documentation of and a lot of all those documentation materials can be used to reactivate those potential speakers. So we created those materials, and for example, there are 120 short movies on YouTube with subtitles in Japanese and English. And also we have created a digital museum out of the 600 hours of recording. And those are the recording of the ritual with subtitles and explanations. And we also created picture books and digital museum. Okay. So those are the, served as the inputs to revitalize or to reactivate the passive speakers. So, but the description, as I was saying, description and documentation was quite successful, almost 600 hours of recordings with metadata and things. But for preservation and revitalization, we can't say that it is so successful in spite of the fact that we've created those input materials. Reasons probably unlike Okinawa, we have failed to reach younger people, get involvement from younger generation of potential speakers, like Shoichi has been saying. So that's Ikema. Okay, as for Tamano, maybe I'll use up 3 or 4 more minutes. This is my personal history. I was born in Tamano City and lived there until I was 18. Tamano is my native language, but I've had almost no opportunities to use it except for in talking with my classmates. Reason is probably the Okayama dialect, other local Japanese varieties not used in formal situations because it lacks tenego, address honorifics necessary for addressing elders or strangers in formal context. Additionally, the subject honorific, like Larry, has lost its role as a subject honorific and has become a kind of downtoner for imperative forms. Consequently, the Tamano dialect, the Okayama dialect in general, are now unsuitable to use in anything but extremely informal situations, such as among close friends or family members. So I started using Tamano even at home since I was 18. I had almost forgotten it until 3 years ago. 3 years ago, a friend of my linguist friends, asked me if I use Yako or the like, which is one of the most characteristic expression of the Okayama dialect, and whether it is a negative polarity item or not. I wasn't sure if I had ever used Yako. What is Yako? So that was my response. So I responded that I don't think I use it. To double check, I was not sure. So in order to double check my response, I asked the dialectology specialist who's archiving past recordings of dialect data stored at Ninja to let me listen to recordings of the Okayama dialect. Although none of the Tamano variety, she allowed me to listen to the recordings of the Nimi variety of the Okayama dialect. So there were many instances of Yakoi in the recordings, and I suddenly realized that I was familiar with the word and had used it quite often when I was younger. It was a negative polarity, and I could create numerous examples using Yako. Okay. So I suddenly remembered the word by listening to it. This sort of activated my Tamano Okayama, which had been dormant for 55 years. So that's what happened. And I've been doing that for some time. So access to past recordings is almost non-existent for outsiders. Okay, as for Okayama dialect, it is very difficult to record natural conversations now. I'm talking about Okayama dialect. The younger generation no longer use the dialect except with very close friends or similar age within the family. There's a significant difference between female and male speech styles, even into differences in grammar. The justice in the basic grammar need all three combinations: man talking to man, women talking to men, and women talking to women. Okay, so the dialect is not even, Tamano dialect or Okayama dialect is not even actively used when speaking to one's peers or strangers. For example, the English folks agreement is observed when a man is talking to his close friend who is the same age or younger than him. So my personal revitalization effort, the Tamano dialect of Okayama, are still underway, facing difficulties listed above. So that's it. Concluding remarks. This last slide. Almost all dialects of subdialects of Japanese are pressed on their usage becoming increasingly restricted. So mutually intelligibility can identify passive or potential speakers have latent knowledge of the language. This passive knowledge can be activated with more input. So we need to create more content that can serve as this input. We have not been so successful so far. Additionally, we must devise methods to activate this knowledge and enable speakers to produce output. So, that's it. Thank you.
Any questions? Yeah. Any questions? Comments? Yes.
All right. Allow me to go through a little bit before two questions is raised. It's simply out of curiosity of the syncretion. Yeah. So Professor just mentioned that in Tamano, when the question is asked, we have to use the conditional marker, right? Yeah, and
It's the other way. It's the other way around. If conditional endings are used, it has to contain WH word. The dependency the other way around.
Okay,
so it cannot be called an agreement.
So in standard Japanese, we know that question words are also using non-question. So for example, like "dare mo nani ga tabeteru," it's something like "who what eating." This means everyone is eating something. So I wonder if we do without a conditional marker, will the question be turned into something in which the WH words become pronoun, indefinite.
And conversational style is used for yes/no questions. And for WH, doesn't it does not contain ka unless it is an embedded sentence. So the distribution is quite different from the Okayama variety.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
Uh, I like the idea of about your native dialect, and I was curious why you rated it higher than the vitality in general. Did you use the same UNESCO index for the vitality?
Yeah.
Then I thought it would be the same or lower than the status because you are in the grandparents' generations. That's the same as the language itself in general. And the availability of the resources should be the same. And the domains probably you have, I think, less small domains of use, I think, compared to other people in
So if it's two is two, it's used as mother tongue in the home, right?
right, only at home.
Okay, only at home,
Limited.
and I don't use it at home.
Right, so it should go.
It goes to
Oh, I
four.
see, I see. I see. The higher, the more endangered.
Right.
So sorry.
Could be endangered.
Right. I think I translated this to Japanese and it was published, but I completely forgot about that. Sorry, it's more.
So my personal mother tongue, I mean my personal language is more endangered than
Yeah, I like the idea. I think we should
Okay,
come up with
dialect
something
in general.
that's not for the community, but for the individual, right?
Yeah, for the community, it's not active, but it's still there. They use it at home.
Mhm.
But for me, I don't use it at home. And only use it only with my cousins, close cousins, and with my high school classmates, which is not very often.
I'm very curious about your personal experiment that you try to revitalize your own Tamano dialect. I wonder if, like, written input, like if you see Tamano dialect written, would that trigger your
Yeah.
short memory?
So what I did was, to listen to the Nimi version, which is a dialect in the northern part of Okayama, which is quite similar, to Tamano version. I listened to it. I think there were 3 hours recordings. I listened to it every day, like 1 week or so. Then suddenly I remembered Yako, and other conjugations came up to me, and I could create examples quite easily. But it didn't happen, that I could use the language naturally with other people. And I thought I could, revitalize it by talking to my cousins, older than me. But they were the females, so they used a different language, right? So I couldn't quite revitalize my version of the Tamano dialect, strangely. But it worked part ways, I think. So is my Tamano dialect is a little bit more active than 3 years ago.
A follow-up question to that, like if we can create like a text-to-speech engine that mimics your Tamano dialect, do you think you can listen to that TTS generated materials to reactivate your memory?
How to do it?
Like if
You create a text of Okayama or Tamano dialect first, right?
Yeah.
And convert it.
use that to train a text-to-speech engine, and then like use general Okayama dialect materials to because the syntax will be better.
I think it works from probably, but this written version might not be so natural as the, spoken version, but it might work for the Ikema project because, it has 600 and 650 recordings, but most of them are not usable because it's too personal, right? So you can create the text version first and convert it into speech, or make that into comic strips or animation film. Then you can use it for children for younger people to watch, or even children to watch.
Okay, we have any complete one more? This one, yeah.
One more question.
Okay.
Okay. You mentioned that Japanese may not be safe. I think that's a very alarming statement. I heard this sentiment expressed by Japanese writers. There's one very famous book written by some Japanese writers, and she was worried that the quality of Japanese, she's talking from a writer's point of view, not from a linguist's point of view. But she said that because of the use of English, Japanese language has been simplified too much, and it will lose so-called beauty of the language, and so she's worried. Now, your take is that there are so many dialects in Japan, and they, according, if we do test, they may not be languages. So that means if we do this,
I didn't say that.
what did you say?
So there are some of them maybe, like Kyushu, Kawashima dialect or Aomori dialect, they may be mutually unintelligible to other parts of Japan. But Okayama may be mutually intelligible to standard Japanese speakers. But it's quite different, right? And there's many features not existence in other dialects, right? But they're quite endangered extinction because they're not used. So most of the dialects may be mutually intelligible, but it has unique features and they're dying because because of its non-use. That's what I said.
So let's accept that there are some, maybe not all, but some are mutually unintelligible.
Yeah.
That means they are separate languages, right?
Well,
But using a Williams experiment, Jeju is a separate language from Korean. So let's say Kyushu dialect, so-called Kyushu dialect may be an independent language compared to standard or Aomori, dialect. And then it's endangered. So my question is that what should we do? I mean, all these so-called either dialects or language, that really doesn't matter. They all die out. I mean, speakers will not maintain those varieties of language. And then in the, I don't know, next 10, 20 years, 50 years, they are gone. Everybody speaks so-called standard Japanese. Standardized, much more standardized than what we have right now.
some version of standard Japanese.
Is that something we have to be worried about?
Well, I don't know. It means that they're losing their mother tongues, right? That's what we have to worry about. I've almost lost my mother tongue, so that affects my way of life or my thinking. And if you're if it happens that only the standard dialect or standard Japanese is remain in the future. version of Japanese is different in, you know, in all parts of Japan, right? They're different, differentiated, and they again. But in the course of that, you're losing your mother speak. That's
Just one more comment of Bishop. I'm very interested in grammaticalization, So I see your data, the final sentence final, utterance final, such as Nara, you, yeah. They are going through a lot of a grammaticalization process in the case of Korean and very similar to Japanese.
Yeah.
I noticed.
Yeah. It said that it's it doesn't require very much that it requires why these conditional endings have require that each element to be there. That's a mystery to resolve.
They're very similar to Japanese. Comments? Any final comments?
Actually, we have to, because Randy is going to zoom in, so we need time to
Oh, okay,
transition to
okay. So,
the next speaker.
okay, thank you so much.